Welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's Vacation Station Travel Show. Today we welcome back Glynn Burrows. He is a family history expert, a tour guide, and owner of Norfolk Tours in England. And today he's joining us to talk about mixing business with leisure, or is it leisure? I really don't mind, but it basically, if you're going to do business and you're going to travel, you might as well have some fun doing it. Exactly. He's got an article about this up on blendradioandtv.com. He's also got one about how actual tourism entities like hotels and lodging places should look at being open to more business travelers and how to accommodate them. That will be in our upcoming Success Express business magazine. But one talking about what you can do as a business traveler, having some fun in England, that will be in our upcoming Vacation Station magazine. Most importantly, go to Glynn's website. It's norfolk-tours.co.uk. So welcome back, Glynn. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. A bit chilly over here at the minute, but we're all fantastic. Thanks.
I heard that's a little frosty. The snowman's coming to visit.
White. Looking out of my dining room window, the garden is all white. And it's not snow, it's just frost. But there you go.
Are you feeding the birds? The birds
yes,
need
I've been
help.
out there doing that. Yeah, all good.
Oh, that's good. Now, so is it Bleisure or Bleisure? Tomato, tomato. Are we back to that again?
This word. As I put in the article, I think it just should be called making the most of your business travel. That sounds much nicer.
I know. It's really, because if you're going to do business, I think pleasure, when they said don't mix business and pleasure, whoever came up with that term is wrong. I think, if you don't have fun, and they've even proven in, just even looking at a team working on a project in business, if the team don't get along together and have some kind of activity, whether it's pizza in the boardroom, whether it's going out afterwards for some fun, if, a team doesn't get to have some fun together, they don't get to know each other. So therefore, they don't have those relationships to pull you through the thick and thin in a business.
Exactly. I mean, and if you look at it as when you're talking about business travel, why not have the team away days, which they do, but you can mix that in with actually mixing with the people who you're going to meet with. Because if you're going to go abroad to have a business meeting with another group of people, why not actually get to know them?
Exactly.
Because we do business with people. We don't do business with another business. We do business with people, and I think that, well, I know the only reason that I stay connected with you and Nancy is I like you as people. If I didn't like
good,
you,
we like you as a person too.
But what I'm saying is, if I didn't like you as a person, I wouldn't work with you.
Right.
So that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It is true, and it goes within a team, within the company, but it also extends out, especially if you're going to England to do business. You might want to go and find out more about the culture. You were talking about that the last time on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you need to go in the store, go find out what, English tea is. What is high tea versus low tea? You don't have low tea. But you know what I mean? It's like, go find out about, and also that could be a talking point when you go out to meet, potential clients or clients already go, okay, I really don't understand. What is this high tea thing? Can you teach me about it? It opens doors because you're willing to learn.
Yeah. I mean, if, say, for instance, you meet someone at a seminar and you say, well, can we meet for coffee? As a foreign visitor, you might sort of think, oh, well, I better go to one of these well-known coffee bars to go to. But instead of doing that, why not ask the person who lives there what little tea shop he can recommend? A Mrs. Miggins tea shop, or whoever they might be. Instead of going to these big multinational companies that actually haven't got anything to do with where you are, why not go and see Mrs. Miggins, who actually makes her own cakes in the back of the tea shop? and then you're actually learning about where you are.
Mm. So in England, let's talk about what you can experience. I mean, conferences, I know there's the big hotels, the brand hotels, and they serve a purpose. However, I know you're very much like, there are different options. Tell us a little bit about, and for those listening, you'll have to read Glynn's article and see the photos, but behind you, for those watching, you've got this, it looks like a castle. What is that? Because that could be like a meeting place, right?
Yeah, this is actually a conference center, and it's just outside Cambridge. They've got loads of different sized meeting rooms in there. So, you've got the big meeting rooms, but you've got small meeting rooms, more intimate ones, for 10 or a dozen people, or even just 2 or 3 people. And that is a massive conference center just outside Cambridge. All the accommodation is in the outbuildings around the courtyard. And the place is set in acres of grounds designed by Capability Brown, so it is actually what used to be a stately home, one of these great big houses that were owned by a big family. It's now owned by a part of Cambridge University, and it's used as a conference center, as a meeting place. And that is absolutely beautiful.
So you could go outside of the big city, because a lot of people just go immediately to the city, land in the airplane and take a taxi, or I don't know, Uber, whatever you do, a rental or a shuttle to your hotel. And then you turn around and leave, and you have not seen anything about England.
No.
Or maybe you've gone to a pub in the city. So maybe that's it.
Yes. And this particular
place. So you
place,
can't say you've been to England.
Well, not really, can you? You've just probably been to another spit and cardboard hotel, as I call them, with a bed, a hotel.
I didn't say it.
No, well, I did. I can't help it. These spit and cardboard hotels have got bedrooms that are just like rabbit hutches, and you don't know where you are when you wake up. You could be in Dubai, or you could be in England, or you could be in America. Whereas if you wake up and you look out of your window at that building, you know that you're not in America. You know that you're somewhere different. And, when you're walking around, I mean, just I don't know, a quarter of a mile from that place is a lovely little village pub. So you could just walk down to the village pub in the evening and have a pint with the locals. In Cambridge, or in any city. I'm not knocking Cambridge. Cambridge is gorgeous. And I mean, if you come to England and you don't go to Cambridge, you're mad. But anyway, if you go to Cambridge, you're in a city centre, so you've got a different, I don't know, you've got a different type of people who are in the middle of a city to who you are in the village. If you go to the village pub, you're going to meet local village people. And
maybe hear some music.
Well, very often in a pub, you'll find someone who starts into whatever, playing the piano or whatever, playing his guitar. I mean, I remember I was in a pub once, several years ago now, and I had my American visitors with me, and we were just sitting there. It was a very cold evening, and the fire was roaring. It was a gorgeous fire. And this old bloke came in with his dog, his Labrador, and the dog was wet, and he went and laid in front of the fire. And the dog was sort of steaming, the steam was coming off the dog. And the old boy brought the landlord a brace of pheasants. Now, that was just such an English scene. And my American visitor said to me, did you lay that on for us? Did you lay that on? Like, did I hire an actor with his dog? No, that was just what happens in a
country
village
life.
Yeah. And that's what you get, but that's the sort of thing that I think
that reminds me of Lord of the Manor. What?
Well, exactly. But that's, if you want to come and visit a place, you want to experience the place. If I go to France, I don't order fish and chips. I have what the French
eat. Did you eat the escargot?
Of course I ate. I adore escargot.
I
love to sup up all the melted garlic butter with my bread. Ugh.
You got a thing about melted butter. Now it's a new thing with you. It's a melted butter.
I do love me butter.
Oh, no margarine for you?
Oh, dear, oh dear. Pah.
No. So, we talk about the lodgings. So when people are planning the conferences to look at that, but there's
Yeah.
people going over that their company has decided, hey, we're putting you in the spit and cardboard places like you talk about,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean they can't add a day or two prior or after
No.
for their own, or maybe their families traveling. So that's another thing to look at. And if you can only maybe just say, oh, I only can do 1 or 2 days because I still have to go back to work once I get home.
Yes, of course.
Isn't it better to get a guide like I just got to give you a big shout out here, because to me, you have 1 or 2 days in England. Are you going to research it and hope you're right and spend hours doing that? Or do you just call Glynn and say, Glynn, or email Glynn, I want to see these kinds of things. Glynn puts it together and takes you around and helps you.
Yeah, I mean that has been things that I've done. Someone have said that they are in Cambridge, for instance, for a week, and they've got a day off in between conference meetings, and they just want me to show them a good example of what's in the area. Not necessarily specific things, but they just want to have a look at something within the area. And yes, someone like I could do that. That's fine. I could do that sort of thing. Or you could do it yourself if you research local tourist information officers and things, because everything is on the web nowadays. So if you've got the time and the inclination, you can do it yourself. But if not, contact a local.
I'm calling
tourist.
you because I don't want to
Yeah.
drive on the wrong side of the road.
Oh yeah, that as well. That does make a difference. But it is something that you could do. And I mean, there's nothing worse, is there, than when you're in a hotel, you finish your conference for the evening and you go back to your room and you sit there and you're watching rubbish television in a spit and cardboard hotel. Whereas if you got a taxi to take you 3 miles, 4 miles up the road, you could be sitting in a lovely country pub, having a proper lovely country pub type meal, drinking proper beer, talking to the locals. So it's not only the hotel you can stay in, but it's what you do when you're in there.
One of our Big Blend experts, Steve Piacenti, is a life coach. He's
Right.
on our shows, and we were just talking about this because he always talks about he's a world traveler, and he travels for work too, and he always adds time out. And
Yeah.
he always, in fact, I need to help him find a guide in Palm Springs because he's going there, and he goes, I always look for a tour guide.
Yeah.
When he travels, because he likes to take photography, he's
Yeah.
a photographer,
Yeah.
awesome photographer. Everyone look him up on Instagram. He really does amazing work. And he always finds someone, he goes, because you're not going to be able to research all of it yourself time-wise. It's better to hire someone, say, I want to be able to catch a really good sunrise, or maybe it's Stonehenge at sunrise, maybe,
Yeah.
or sunset. I want to be able to do, this is the kind of photography I want to do. And he goes, it saves you so much time and money because, especially if you can only add that 1 or 2 days,
Yes. Yes.
that's
I mean,
my thing. That's
that
really
is
the typical thing.
what I do, obviously, with my normal visit. Well, I say normal, sorry, that's not a word I should use probably, but my usual visitors who are interested in family history, I've already done all the research, so we can 9 times out of 10 walk straight into a churchyard and go straight up to the grave because I've already found it for them. Whereas if we were going to have to research where the grave is and then actually go there and find the specific grave, it could take us all day. So
Yeah.
it is all about making the full use of the time that you've got, rather than sitting in that spit and cardboard hotel room watching rubbish television,
And eating hotel room service.
eating
Ooh.
rubbish food. Yeah. Why not go
That's-
outside? Why not go to the local pub and have sausage and mash and a pint of beer?
Yeah.
What could you want better than
But-
sausage and mash?
But this is the other thing, when we lived in England, Nancy and I are still like, why didn't we go to the Isle of Man? Our family history is out there, and we
quite,
have family history in Hull and York and all these places.
Yeah.
And we were kind of, we just weren't quite aware, let's put it that way, when we lived in England. But, when we think about it now, even when we went back to England for a couple days, I don't know, we've done some different trips there, but never once did it really think how to, get into your family history. Now it's a big deal. It's something easier to do on the internet.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking it could have taken us one day to get to wherever we wanted to go to see
Yes.
our family history. And
Yes.
how many people are going to England on a business trip or a conference,
Yeah.
or traveling and just working digital nomads like we are, to be able to go, hey, I got this spare afternoon. I heard that my uncle, great uncle so and so, traveled here or did this. Let's go on a little adventure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not being funny, I mean, England is not big. You can go from anywhere in England to the coast,
See,
on
that's
a
my
day trip.
background. Because honestly, if I'm going to do business, there's nothing like going out and calming yourself. You need
Oh,
to be centered. So I
oh,
want to go to the beach.
to stand on the beach and just having the water wash up to the shore and back again is so
It's
amazingly
medicine.
calming,
It's
especially on
medicine.
a shingle. I love a shingle beach. But anyway, talking about beaches. But what I'm saying is, England is so small compared to America that actually you can go anywhere within a couple of days. Well, I could go from here to the north of Scotland in about 13 hours. I think I drove up there once for somebody, and that is from one end of the country to the other. So
Yeah.
even if say for instance you were in London and you thought, oh yeah, but my great uncle served in the Second World War in an airfield in the middle of Norfolk. Well, you can be in the middle of Norfolk in an hour and a half.
Mm. So
So
you never know. Yeah.
why not escape out of London for an hour and a half on the train, get me to pick you up, or if you want to hire a car, then but that's what I'm saying. England is so small that actually you can get anywhere in a reasonably short time. So even if you added a couple of days on the end of your holiday, you could get anywhere in England, and probably Scotland and Wales, because we're all connected, and have a look at somewhere different.
Well, the other thing too is, people travel. I know you get a lot of people also from Europe coming over to England, right?
Yeah.
And especially good now because prices are down in England for travelers. So if you're looking at doing business overseas, that's a good thing. But I know that there's individual consultants going over for specialized industries. Let's put it like one example. England is starting to have wineries, which I never
Yes.
thought that would happen, but it
Oh, yeah.
is.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
some of the people like in California, I know France is in your backyard, but maybe someone's coming from France to help you from Champagne or Burgundy. And or in from California, from maybe someone who, like a professor from UC Davis, which is the place for winemakers and vintners. And there's another big word that's out my head. So obviously I don't know my wine as well as I think, other
No,
than
you
drinking
just
it,
drink
but
it.
I just drink it. But I wanted to say oenologist, but I don't know what that is, but anyway, I don't know. But anyway, so they may go over as a consultant to help the wine region go, okay, this is the soil, but
Yeah.
that wine consultant is not going to go just to that winery. I know this part about wine. You want to figure out the terroir, the region,
Yeah.
how maybe if the vineyard was planted on this slope over here because maybe the coastal air will help this, all that stuff I really don't understand, but it's cool. So they're going to come over as a consultant, but it's not just go directly to the winery and make an assessment and leave without understanding the actual region. So if someone said to you, hey, Glynn, I'm coming over, I'm just using the winery as an example because it's a new industry, right? That's something that's happening in England.
Yes.
I'm coming over. Can you take me around so I can go look at soil, do soil samples, and get an idea of the weather, all of that kind, and the actual topography? Would you do that?
Of course. I mean, I had a gentleman who actually lived in, I can't think where he lived. It was a Central European country. He wanted to relocate to England.
Oh.
And he liked East Anglia. And he said to me that he wanted me to find him a house. So I looked for a load of different properties. He found some as well. And I think we had about 4 or 5 different trips over the matter of 4 or 5 months where he would fly over, and I would take him around and look at houses and properties, and that was a really interesting thing for me to do, but also it was really good for him because I could also then show him not only the house that he was looking at, but the area, and so he knew what sort of place he was actually relocating to.
Yeah, you want to invest into a place that goes with who you are.
Well, exactly. And as it is, he has actually found somewhere, and I know that he was thinking about moving in early part of this year, but I haven't heard back from him lately. So I'm sure he's busy doing all the stuff that he needs to do. But it is all about contacting the local people who have the local contacts as well. Because if you've got someone over here who's interested in winemaking or whatever, then I actually know somebody who used to have a vineyard in Norfolk. I know somebody else who grows fruit. So, they would be
You never
helpful
know.
people. Well, exactly. They would be helpful people to talk to. I also know several brewers because we have a lot of small breweries in Norfolk. So, and in East Anglia altogether.
And here in this country, America's the craft brew scene is every corner it's massive compared to what it was. And it's something because the turnaround is quicker for beer than wine and spirits.
Obviously.
So they're able to do that. And it's cool. I mean, and agricultural wise, it's pretty good. One thing I heard too is also when the Queen passed away, I was hearing all these reports of the merchandise, royal merchandise, being this big deal, and even things that had Prince Charles versus King Charles, all of this now the value was a big deal. So I'm wondering about American companies trying to import this kind of merchandise, and if that's something still going on in England. What do you think? Are people still avidly going crazy for what they can of what was made prior to the Queen's passing? That seems to be a big deal.
Not so much. I mean, when I was younger, I mean, coronation memorabilia and Jubilee memorabilia were quite collectible, but they're not collectible nowadays by many people as they used to. My children wouldn't think about it. They might. The schools will probably still give the children a coronation mug for Charles's coronation next year, but I don't think it's going to be a big market like it was for like the Queen's coronation or even for the Jubilees, because the 1977 Jubilee, her silver Jubilee, was a really big event. But actually the Platinum Jubilee, I don't even know whether I saw anything on sale for the Platinum, her 70th Jubilee.
Oh, wow.
So
it's changed.
With Queen Victoria, there were loads of stuff for her Jubilees. But I think the whole thing about royalty has gone completely different, but yes, I mean, from what you're saying is, if an American person has got an idea for a business and they need to come and have a look and explore the market, then that is the sort of thing, business and leisure, which you would work together on a tour. And, that is the sort of thing that I could put together quite. I mean, I had a lady over from the University of Hawaii, I think, and she was writing a thesis, and she wanted to research for her thesis, different things. And I was able to take her to different places. I had a lady from the Canadian University who was doing a similar thing, who was researching a specific subject, and she needed, for her work in the university, she needed to look at specific things, and I arranged her to look at specific things.
I remember you having authors over too.
Yeah,
like a
lady,
writer may come, rent a cottage, right? And then it's like, I need to go research this for my book, that kind of thing.
And like I say, all I do is just research what they want me to find for them, and then I put together the different tours. And that is, I mean, that's interesting for me, because I learn loads of different stuff, but it's easy for them because then they're not wasting time researching it themselves.
And I know this sounds weird, but we have done shows on the English language being different between England, America, Canada, South Africa. It's different.
Definitely.
I mean, you even said a term just before we started recording, is the air blue? And I'm like, what? The sky's not blue right now, it's winter. But it is in the picture. Then I found out when you explained that, I was like, oh, actually that's pretty good. That's a good term. I like that.
Yes.
And it's about swearing, people.
It's about swearing. Yeah. If somebody is swearing a lot, we say that they're turning the air blue.
They're punching it. Yeah, that's a good term. But when you think about doing research, especially when you get into older English files, oh my God, I have no clue what you're talking about. When we look at like William Shakespeare, you have to go to school just to understand what Shakespeare was saying. I mean, it's a different lingo, and
it's a different language, definitely.
And you know where things are. That's the other thing. You could read something and think, oh, it's so many miles. It's only, and that's something that gets me all the time as we travel.
Oh, yes.
You look at miles, but what the miles are versus what you think it's going to take you to get there are two different things, because of traffic, mountain passes, it's two different things. So there's as the crows fly versus reality.
Yes.
For humans.
Exactly. I mean, if you wanted to come to England, for instance, and you were staying in, we'll say in London, and you said, oh, well, while I'm here, I'd like to go to Edinburgh, I would say, well, Edinburgh's quite a long trip up north, so if you want to go to Edinburgh, why not sort of go to Lincoln and York on the way up to Edinburgh? Because I know the layout of the land, whereas you wouldn't necessarily know that on the way to Edinburgh you can go to Lincoln and York.
Do I want to see it even, know?
Exactly.
What about, the single traveler, business traveler, digital nomads? We have a lot of those, or consultants. But I mean, during the pandemic in this country, and I know it's still going on, we had a lot of traveling nurses, and a lot of men and women, a lot of women out traveling around on their own.
Yes.
Going to a new country, even though it's England, which doesn't feel like the big, scary foreign country, but it can be if it's your first trip, especially maybe as a very young beginning professional coming over to a country. I think it's good to have someone kind of take you around if you're going to be based somewhere for a little while, give you the lay of the land, to kind of say, like, you don't want to go down the street kind of thing. Not that you have that like we do in this country. Maybe, I don't know, but
that is really important. In fact, I had a lady over from Tasmania. She was in her late 80s. So she wasn't here for business. She was here for family history. And I was in correspondence with her daughter, who was also trying to help her to arrange all of this. And her daughter said something to me that sticks. She said, the thing is, she said, I'm actually trusting you with my mum. And I thought, well, yeah, you are, aren't you? Her mum was on her own. She was in her 80s. And this lady was trusting me to look after her mum for her. So that is what it's all about, isn't it? You need to have somebody who you can trust. And, if you are a young woman on your own, it would be nice possibly to be accompanied by a granddad like me, just so as you know.
And everyone, Glynn is happily married. He's got grandkids,
Exactly.
He's got children. He's been on our show for years. We can vouch for Glynn.
Well, exactly. But you know what I mean? It is all about, how safe are you in these circumstances? If you were on your own. I mean, when my daughter was at university up in Nottingham, she used to come down on the train and go back on the train. And then she had to get from the train to the bus, and then from the bus to her accommodation. And obviously that's a worry, because, she's a young girl on her own in the city. Whereas if you actually thought about it and you were coming over here for a week or a fortnight, you could have someone like me who would be a chaperone for you, and actually take you everywhere from door to door and be there for you.
And just even getting to Heathrow, oh my God, navigating Heathrow is one thing.
Well, getting to the right one.
Right.
There are 5 terminals, it can be a headache.
And I want someone to pick me up, and I do not want to try and drive a rental car from Heathrow
No,
into London. I
no,
don't want to do that. I'll be like, I know somehow the double-decker bus will be staring at me and I'll be staring at it going,
yeah,
I'm in a tiny little rental car. You're a double-decker bus. But
right.
I think everyone has to go on a double-decker bus once. Come
Oh,
on. They're
yes,
fun.
yes,
You've got to. And sit at the top. You've got to be
of
on the
course.
roof. Yes.
At the top of the front, you've got to.
It is iconic. And you've got to go in a telephone booth. And I want to see everyone's telephone booth pictures.
Okay,
You still have them, right? You
not
still have
so
a
many,
few.
not so many, because
Oh,
everybody's got one of these things, haven't
I
they? So,
know, but you've got the
um,
iconic red telephone
I
booths.
know, but
Those,
they're still about, but not so much.
ah. And when you go to Buckingham Palace, you still don't mess with the bobbies. You can still like talk to them and they'll just ignore you.
Yeah, the guards don't talk to people. The
Is it the
policemen,
bobbies? That's not the bobbies, right?
no,
That's
no,
the police.
the
The guards.
the
Got it
guards
right.
don't talk. The policeman will talk to you.
Yeah, you better, and they do carry a little bobby club, so that's a difference.
It's
But
called a
but
truncheon, dear.
oh dear, no, that's a little bit heavier. But but we have guns in this country, so I think yours is a little safer, just
Yeah, we
saying.
don't.
Yeah, but it's when you just think some of those iconic things still being there, it's you should do at least one of them just for the fun of it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And that is the whole point about getting off the beaten track. If you're in the middle of London, yes, you're going to see Buckingham Palace and the Tower of London and the telephone box and the bobbies on the beat, but actually to actually get a taste of
Out.
what England
Yeah.
is really like, you've really got to go out into
Mm.
the small towns and villages to get a taste of the real England.
I want to go to the Lake District.
It's gorgeous, really.
There-
Beatrix Potter. Do you know Beatrix Potter?
Yes, I've been to her place. I went
Oh,
when I was a little girl to Beatrix Potterland. I don't
oh,
know what it's called,
Beatrix
but
Potter.
I mean, and I think we still have an article of yours up on Blend Radio and TV. We were talking about literary heroes and,
Yes.
Beatrix Potter, it was magical. There's like all these little hidden things as I remember in the forest area. Oh, I
Yeah.
want to go back. All right.
Yeah,
Well, we'll see
the
you soon.
the Lake District is gorgeous. I love the Lake District. It really is
Mm.
beautiful.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too. I've seen people, I just saw this on Facebook the other day. Someone got rid of their house, sold it or whatever, and
Mm.
redid one of those boats to float down the canals in England
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
just have
narrowboat.
canal life and to park and be able to do the trails and walk the
Yeah.
trails.
Yes.
So
Well,
that's the other thing. Yeah.
you can have a holiday on a narrowboat if you want. Which
Oh my God.
the narrowboat is the canal boat, and then you've also got the locks that you have to go up the rivers, to get the right levels and that.
Like
So if you want-
Hyacinth Bouquet.
Yeah, if you want a holiday on a canal, I can sort that for you. If you want anything, if you want to stay in a little tiny thatched cottage in the middle of nowhere, I can sort that for you.
So
know.
yeah, you come on a business trip again, a lot of people adding that 1 or 2 days. Sometimes you can do a whole week, right? But if you look at those quick things, can you go down the locks just even for an hour or two so you can have that experience? Because that's
Yes.
something like I look at that going, I want to go down the canals.
Yes, of
I want
course.
to do that. So
Yeah.
they have that. Okay, so you could do short things that you like some of your bucket list things you could
Yes,
do.
yeah. I mean, obviously, it depends what part of the country in,
Right.
as to whether there are going to be canals with locks on them, because there's not locks on every part of the country.
Right.
But that sort of thing. If you thought to yourself, well, I've always wanted to visit a real Norman castle, that would be easy to source. If you thought, I would love to go and visit a ruined church, yeah, I could do that for you. If you want to go and actually work with heavy horses, yeah, we could do that. If you anything that sort of,
Oh, the Clydesdales.
oh yeah, that sort of thing.
I
Yeah,
remember the Clydesdales.
the old heavy
Oh,
horses with the furry feet.
oh,
you
oh,
know,
they're beautiful. They're
you know,
beautiful.
just think about what you think, what you see as England. If you want to say, right, I'd like to go to a cricket match. Well, obviously you have to come in the summertime, but you could go to a cricket match if you want to go to a football match. And when we say football, we mean football, not your silly football with the big padded shoulders.
Soccer. Yeah,
we call
soccer.
we don't have big padded shoulders for our
Yeah.
football.
Okay, what
But-
about golf? Because I know business
golf.
is also golf is a big deal, and now we have foot golf, disc golf, and I don't know, golf football kind of things, and
Okay.
just, I don't know, there's all kinds of other things going.
We've
Don't
got
ask me about it, but
We've
people
got
do
loads
things.
of golf courses, from golf courses with, surrounded a castle, to golf courses all the way along the coast. So you're actually playing golf, looking out to sea. You've got golf courses everywhere in England. So if you like golf, I could arrange you a golf tour,
Hmm.
The world's your
It's
oyster.
endless.
Sorry?
I said it's endless
It
of what
is.
you can do. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
whatever you want to do can be done, really.
Yeah. I think a lot of people go to England also for the fashion industry, because there's a
Yeah.
lot going on in fashion,
Yes.
and just, I mean, I think of London and everything. It's like, I always, England was so on top of it, like New York, New York and London being so fashion.
Yeah.
I'm not fashion conscious. I have no clue about it. It's like, if I put my shirt on straight, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
But, there other people, that's a big deal, is to go shopping. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. You go overseas, get something that's unique, not that you're going to find in the typical spit and cardboard shopping markets,
Exactly.
shopping malls.
And
See?
also you see, you can also buy things that are actually made here and not in China.
Yeah.
If you come with someone like me and you say, I want to actually buy some proper
Marmite.
clothes, of the Marmite, yeah. But funnily, you're talking about fashion. I actually know a well-known fashion designer, and so I could take you to his studio with him, and he could show you how he designs different things. I know a bloke who makes his own jewelry. So if you wanted a piece of jewelry and you wanted to see it made, then we could do that. That's what I'm saying. Just think about what you want, and it can be arranged. And
That's cool.
yeah. I mean, if say for instance, you're a, I don't know, you're a jeweler and you're coming to England to do a conference about jewelry, then why not meet some real jewelers who actually live in the country and make their own jewelry? As
Yeah,
opposed
everybody
to
may be going to the
conference.
conference, but it's
Yeah,
good to get out, to actually the
exactly.
smaller people doing the hands-on crafting that you
Yes.
may not see. It may inspire you for designs. And if you go back in jewelry design, the Celtic
Oh,
symbology,
yes.
that's huge.
Yes.
I mean, England has it nailed for that. I mean, it goes back to, everything.
Prehistory. We in Norfolk, actually, we had one of the biggest discoveries of gold that was made sort of in prehistory. And if you look it up, it's the Snettisham Talk, and it was found in a little village in Norfolk, and it was one of them great big rings that they used to wear around their neck of twisted gold, and it's in the British Museum. Absolutely amazing. And these talks that they wore around their wrists, just a plain talk, just a single piece of metal. Some of them are absolutely amazing, and they were done by people who lived in mud huts, not in spit and cardboard hotels.
Oh, man, there's so much you can do. Everyone, norfolk-tours.co.uk is the website to go to. Email Glynn, he'll help you out. And also read his articles on blendradioandtv.com. He's here every fourth Saturday, but this December, it falls on Christmas Eve. So who wants to do business on Christmas, right? So you're supposed to be hanging out with family. So Monday, it's all on Monday. So everyone take a listen, and thank you so much, Glynn, and happy holidays to you and your family.
And to you. Yeah, lovely. Everybody have a lovely Christmas.
And we'll see you on the flip side.
You will
In
indeed.
January. Yeah.
Yeah. See you then.